Today's got there's a very robust show. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we got to start. We're not going to start in Texas. We're going to start in France, actually. I think what's going on in France is an echo of what was started by the Canadian truckers. And I think that it is important to notice what's going on around the world, because if we're in an echo chamber where Justin Trudeau is calling the shots, he's leading the waltz, so to speak, then we're just following along, and we're not paying attention to the rest of the world. And so we can't respond to what's happening in the rest of the world at the right time, right? So if the truckers and the farmers and the taxis and everything else is happening and protest is happening in France, is it a good time to protest, right? Who knows? But it seems the more we know, the better able to make good decisions we will be able to be. It's not just France either. There's other countries in Europe that are having protests. Germany started it. France is now, it's seeming, taking the lead here. And so I want to look at this stuff just to make sure we're aware of what's going on around the world, because it matters, because they're dealing with similar issues that we're dealing with. They're dealing with high energy costs. They're dealing with high taxation to pay for illegal migration, healthcare that's collapsing, education that's collapsing, borders that don't exist, and more, right? And so it's the same issue, and people are sick of it, and they're done, and they're doing what they can, right? And so this is what's happening in France. WW3 Resistance says France learns from Trudeau, block the roads with police, and then say illegal blockade and occupation. So Radio Genoa says Macron deploys armored vehicles to stop the advance of French farmers towards Paris. So there are French farmers driving down the highways that they haven't already destroyed, towards Paris in order to join the protests. And it's not just the farmers, but here's what Macron's doing in response to all of this. Here we go. It's a blue. Oh, you can't see the full desktop. Hold on. There you go. It's very tank-like. I mean, I know that's not a tank. I understand that's a light armored vehicle or something like that, right? But they look very militarized. We're certainly well past the police having a paddy wagon or something to that effect. It looks very military these days, and that's not great. But I remember people talking in 2014 about the militarization of the police, and a lot of people saying that it was happening here. And I think all I've seen here in Canada really is a degradation in the quality of the policing, and the per capita policing has gone down. Like the number of officers per person has gone down quite a lot. And so it used to be that I could be pretty sure that there'd be a speed trap around in Guelph, or indeed kind of around anywhere when driving. Like I used to be worried about it because I'd see them around. You'd see cops, you'd drive past them. There'd be cops standing around doing speed traps and stuff. And I'm not saying I miss the speed traps, but I don't see speed traps anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I see crazy drivers. I see absolutely insane things happening. Like I don't drive that much. And I'm an okay driver, and I was out on the highway yesterday and I saw some crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. So it's very, very interesting to see what's going on. I didn't see one speed trap, not one. So, and I was on highways and like small highways like Highway 9, Highway 11, and then bigger highways like 400. Not one speed trap. I don't even think maybe I passed one police officer, but that was it. And I think he was just, a local cop kind of driving from one stop to the other stop in Barrie. Anyway, here's more French not truckers, excuse me. These are farmers. Here we go. Oh my goodness. They're always honking their horns, trying to watch Netflix here. If Zexi Lee was listening now, right, she would just be losing her mind. Here's more from the farmers. So it's like a sunrise scene, and there's tractors as far as the eye can see on this highway here, and they're all honking their horns. Son of a Bench says Paris is about to be under indefinite siege by the French farmers. Siege in quotes, right? Air quotes. They are demanding improved working conditions and pay. Highways in France are being blocked leading into the cities. More is expected starting Monday. And so that's interesting to me as well. I think that there are real people with real grievances, and they are. Remember, I often talk about in 2020 when they wanted to shut down the playgrounds, and people were standing at the playgrounds with bolt cutters, snip wires, ladders, and the rest, basically daring them to shut them down. Dare you. I dare you. Like, this is not going to happen, basically. People I knew, and me included, I went out to the parks in the morning to take down any tape that was there because I didn't want the kids to see it. And it was already gone. right? Other people had already done it. And I thought, holy cow, good job, us in the neighborhood. Like other people feel like I do because F this is not happening, right? No. And here is that, right? Like if you have a conversation with your partner and you say, listen, I'm going to take the tractor and I'm going to Paris. And she says, don't cut up any highways. Yes, you can go, but don't cut up any highways. I don't want the tractor involved in any, vandalism or anything like that. You make your agreements and you go. And you get there and you see like there are other people, right? You stand out there and you see that other people have come and other people are saying this is too far. And there are people out there and in Canada too, this is too far and they know it, right? And so all we need now is an effective protest. All we need is to hit them where it hurts. Where does it hurt? The pocketbooks, I think. But France, we'll talk about that. Concerned citizens sharing this one. The French realize they're governed by corrupt globalist criminals who are destroying their country for personal gain. They are revolting. This is a revolution. Wow, that's interesting, right? That's interesting to me. It's probably going to be too loud. Here we go. Okay, it wasn't. It's all right. What's with the music? Why does it have to be annoying music? Anyway, there's scenes of fire. Like, I just prefer to have the audio from the actual thing. There's scenes of fires. There's scenes of fires on highways that have been dug up. I just want to show the extent of the damage. So that's a good, I don't know, that's like a football field, right? Probably close to a football field, just ballparking there. Maybe my ballparking is off, but 50 yards, maybe half a football field. Football field, anyway. So it's a significant portion of the highway is cut up. And at the end of that significant portion of the concrete on the highway, like if you're driving down the road, the concrete just doesn't exist anymore. It's just dirt. And then at the end of that is a massive, massive fire. And it looks like there's tires and all sorts of other stuff in the fire. And that's happened on both sides of the highway. Like you're not driving past this, right? It's not, unless you go up on the overpass. This is actually quite smart. They've left the overpass so you can get around it, but you have to go up on the overpass. It's like a giant, giant pain in the ass. Huge, annoying pain in the butt. Functional, like you could get there if you had to get there, if there was an emergency and you had to do it, but it would be a giant pain in the butt. Genius. Absolute genius. Look at this. Yeah, because you can get in on the off-ramp over here and you can get in over here. Ha ha ha, suckers. So smart French farmers, right? And genius. But not for the musical background for this whole thing. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of farmers and they are PO'd like I've never seen French farmers PO'd. Here, see, honking again, right? Lots of farmers honking away. And I mean, they're slow rolling in and they're shutting this down. I mean, imagine trying to go to a hockey game or a football game or something like this, right? Oh, those convoyers, right? And that's what Canada did. That's what Canada did. At the time, the truckers had a lot of support. And since then, the truckers' support has been watered down to the point of Zexi Lee having a point about, how loud the honking was. It's wild. It's absolutely incredible. Persephone says, France, the taxi drivers have joined the farmers and construction workers blocking a major route in Paris. So they're all joining in. No honking this time. Oh, sorry, that was the end of the clip. No honking this time. It's interesting what's going on. And I think that it is worth noting because people are fighting back in the best way they can, right? Let's talk about Canada, but let's bring it home to talk about our country. And Tracy says the House of Commons resumes today after a 44-day break for Christmas. Two big items on the agenda are the public inquiry into election interference and the Conservative private members bill to take the carbon tax off farmers, off Canadian farmers, and of course, whatever fresh hell the Liberal NDPs punish us with next. And that's obviously electoral reform, right? Where the Liberal NDPs are allowed to stay in office and power forever. That's what they want to push. Also known as mail-in ballots and multi-day voting, right? Also on January 10th, this is reported January 10th by the Globe and Mail, Prime Minister's office adds another public policy expert with hiring of pundit Supiara Duvidi. I got that terribly wrong. I'm sorry. And here she is, right? Ryan O'Connor says, so the Prime Minister's office has hired two purported comm superstars since November. One spent last night in a Twitter spat with a columnist, and today is making crude sexual remarks in another Twitter spat. So that's interesting. I'm not interested in the second guy. I'll just show you this Supiara Duvidi. And Unacceptable Marie says, check out the tweets from Trudeau's new senior policy advisor, Supiara. To Canada Proud, a grassroots conservative group working to defeat the Liberals, her tweets are quickly being deleted. Actually, they're not being deleted. They're still on my timeline. She formerly worked in media. Trudeau sure can pick 'em. Certainly explains the MPs in his cabinet. Quite the collection of reprobates and nutbars. This one he's hired as an advisor is an absolute scum, or as absolute scum. Much like himself, come to think of it. So these aren't even deleted tweets. Here is the tweet that she's talking about. So Supiara says they're fighting back and forth. So Canada Proud says live coverage of a PMO staffer having a public meltdown continues. Supiara says, yes, where public meltdown means responding to a tweet that a random man has tagged me in. Great stuff as always from the incel adjacent crowd. He says, did Rachel Gilmore hack your account? She says, oh God, I forgot you guys have such a raging boner for her. I get it, she's hot, but she has a boyfriend and she's not interested in you, I promise. And in a different interaction, she says, Canada Proud says, how long until Katie tells you to stop tweeting? And she says, probably around the time you're able to make a woman come, so never. That's honestly the tweet. I'm sorry. She says, I do have to pick my daughter up from my sister-in-law's place in like an hour, so I'll probably stop checking Twitter then. What? Holy smoke, right? Like that's the new advisor to this to Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau's Ego, a parody account, says, my government has just hired a new director of online politeness. In her new role, Supiara will berate, swear at, and divide Canadians as much as possible in accordance with Liberal Party policy. Welcome to the team and keep up the great hate work. Yep. So 2 minutes of hate, everybody. Go hate on Twitter. Ooh, I hate that person. Right? So interesting. I hope this new senator's better pick. Fingers crossed. Justin Trudeau says Mohammed Al-Zabiq has been appointed as an independent senator. His business and philanthropic experience combined with his community leadership in diversity and inclusion will only make the Senate better. Learn more about Canada's newest senator here. Yikes. So, as one would wonder, you'd think to yourself, I wonder if he's donated to the Liberals and how much a Senate seat costs these days. And Andy Lee found out. She says it appears that over $70,000 by rough calculation has been donated to your Liberal Party by a man sharing the same name as this newly appointed independent senator for over 3 years, or over the years. The donation postal code listed matches the postal code of his business. What a coincidence. So, I mean, if you've got $70,000, you could be a senator. You could be a senator. If you've got $70,000 and you're willing to part with it to the Liberal Party, you could be a senator. Well, if you've got the right last name, I think. I don't think I do, but oh well. I don't have the $70,000 to give them either. Anyway, Rebel News is reporting foreign interference inquiry set to begin Monday with first public hearings. This is a farce. This is not going to actually give us insight into anything. I said this yesterday, I'm going to reiterate it. This is them taking control of the narrative and then saying anybody who says that X, Y, or Z happened is spreading misinformation because we had an inquiry. Here's the inquiry results, and it doesn't have any of that. So they take control of the narrative. It happened with the 9/11 Commission. It happened with all sorts of there are many, many examples from then to now, but they're doing it again, and it works a treat. People just shrug and will fight with you. They will fight with you about it. They will say, no, that's not true. The commission didn't say that. So, all right. Okay, man. Western Standard, because there's too much to get into then, right? You can't explain everything. If they're not willing to do the basic, hey, have you wondered why housing's tripled in price? No? Okay, well, enjoy that, right? If they're not willing to do the basic, looking, then don't waste your time. If they're open to it, maybe, right? It's worth offering little tidbits, but if they're not open to it, move on. Western Standard is reporting Elections Canada approves by-election in Durham for March 4th. For full story, click on the photo. So there's a by-election in Durham from March 4th. I don't like the fact that Jayan Giovanni totally took Trudeau's thing, his video calling Giovanni a twofer, and misrepresents what he said. Trudeau explains what twofer means, an ideologue and a blah, blah, blah. He's not using it in a racial way or anything like that. Although when I first saw it, I honestly thought he was using it in a racial way. But then I thought I have to see this whole clip because if he's using it in a racial way, that's damning. And I saw the whole clip and I thought, it's damning that Giovanni is dishonest enough to use that clip in a dishonest way. Respond to the real thing, man. Don't be like, oh, Trudeau's such a racist, because people are going to look at that and side with Trudeau. Like, honestly. But I think that Giovanni is going to win. Like, I think that he's going to win the by-election. But I still think it's a snake thing to do. So, Black Locks reporter is reporting, cabinet guide instructs Fed employees to counter disinformation by telling the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Quote, this approach can help build trust. Oh, thanks. Great work, everybody. Great work. They weren't doing that before? Like, obviously not, right? Here is the Alberta Teachers Association. And this is funny. I'm sharing this because I think good work, Danielle Smith, if she has indeed ignored the Alberta Teachers Association. But the Alberta Teachers Association is very upset about being frozen out of these conversations. They say, Premier Danielle Smith says the government will be releasing policy on parents' rights this week. She says they've consulted broadly on these issues, but so far the ATA, the Alberta Teachers Association, has not had any conversations about this with the Premier or any government officials. And I said, good, excellent. There's nothing that you could say that would help. And you're not parents, right? So like you're acting as teachers. Teachers aren't parents. So they're parents in absentia, maybe, but that just means like if the kid is hurt, you're going to get them to the doctor. Like it's your responsibility to get them to the doctor and then call the parents. It's not your responsibility to get them to the doctor and then have their sexual organs cut off. Like that's not it. Like stop it. So that's good. I'm glad that they haven't consulted the ATA, and I'm interested to see what these parental rights are. I guess it's been unveiled, or it's going to be unveiled soon, but it's not been unveiled. So when it is, or when I see it, I'll let you know. Toronto Sun is reporting, and I think this is a poor reflection on our society. And actually, I've got one other thing that fits here, and I'm going to show you. Joe Warmington, I think, is reporting 80 cops on the TTC won't solve all the problems, but it's a good start. I think it's a lot of money. 80 police officers on the TTC. And I mean, the TTC is huge, but holy smoke, that's a lot of police officers for peacekeeping on something that should be, you don't need police officers. However, all of that said, that's a lot of money, right? A lot of money, lots of people down there doing, work and stuff. But here's what's going on the TTC. Indian woman urinates on public transport in Canada. Another passenger attacks the person filming for his lack of humanity. So here's that. It's pretty wild stuff happening right in Toronto.
You're not filming her, right?
Yeah.
Are you filming her?
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
Because she's a human being and you shouldn't be.
So she shouldn't be peeing in the train. Dude, there's bathrooms. Holy smokeronies. So are the cops going to do something about that? That's a problem, right? Like jeepers creepers. That's not something that we should be tolerating in this country. Why is that okay? Why aren't people saying, hey, stop peeing there? That's not for that. Holy smoke. We got to talk about Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift is a psyop. Why do I think that Taylor Swift is a psyop? I don't think any of these magazines are photoshopped at all. I don't think this magazine rack is photoshopped at all. So this is a magazine rack that End Wokeness is sharing. And he says, what's happening with Taylor Swift is not organic and natural. It's an op. It's a psyop. Yes, we all feel it. We all know it. The wall-to-wall coverage of Taylor Swift everywhere. I was listening to the radio, and actually, I didn't listen to the radio very much yesterday. I was in my car a lot yesterday. I went up to Huntsville, and it was a lot of fun. But I didn't listen to the radio very much, but I listen to the radio when I'm in town because I'm only going for a short distance. So usually I'll put a book in, like I'll read a book while I'm driving for a long distance, right? Or even a short distance, I'll just toss a book on because it's better than listening to the radio most of the time. But I was listening to the radio, and the DJ started talking about Taylor Swift. She's like, oh my goodness, Swifties, blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't, this is Canada. She was talking about football and Taylor Swift and the football guy and how they're going to, date, and it's so cute and blah, blah. I couldn't care less if I tried to care less. But I thought to myself, this has to be, they coordinated this in their meeting before the show. Somebody was like, okay, we're going to mention Taylor Swift. We're going to mention this. We're going to mention that. And sure, she's current news, but she's current news because it's being absolutely artificially shoved down our throats. Here's an example of that. So she's the Time Person of the Year. All of these magazines had dropped their names. The only magazine that kept their name is Time Magazine. Every other magazine, and Taylor Swift on the front cover of Time magazine is actually bigger and more visible than the Time magazine brand. Okay, so that's notable to me. And the Person of the Year cover doesn't feature Taylor Swift, but that's the only magazine on the rack that doesn't feature Taylor Swift. Every single other magazine on the rack has large print Taylor Swift on the cover, except Style. Style, the second one to the far right on the second rack from the top, it says Style album, but it's a big picture of Taylor Swift. Every other one has dropped, like 17 magazine, it just says Taylor Swift. Vogue, Taylor Swift. It doesn't say Vogue. Us Weekly, it just says Taylor Swift. All of them say Taylor Swift. So that's crazy. Like, that's not organic. That's not like, hey, who should we put on the cover? Let's everybody put Taylor Swift on the cover right now. It's the lead up to the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl champs are maybe going to endorse President Biden, come the fall or whatever, right? So, man, all of this, because don't they do the usual tours of the football people and all the sports people, right? And somebody's talking about Heisman trophies and things like that. Trump threw a football to somebody. So this will be Biden's, well, here's Disclosed TV. Biden is hoping for an endorsement from Taylor Swift. Is that his Trump anti-Trump battle plan? That is his anti-Trump battle plan. Taylor Swift, buddy. However, here is the count, right? The social media follower count. Taylor Swift follows 0 followers, 94.9 million people. Holy hell, that's a lot of people, right? Taylor Swift, there you go. And Donald Trump, followers, or he's following 51, and he's got 87.4 million followers. So if Taylor Swift starts telling all of her followers that Donald Trump is a terrible, awful person, and all of her followers maybe vote for her, and half of her followers are able to convince their boyfriends to vote for Biden because Taylor Swift says Donald Trump's a bad guy, do you think that will be impactful? I think that's very, very impactful. Unbelievably impactful, mind you. And Laura Loomer is showing that difference in the two. And here's a little bit more on, this is a psyop, this is a Democrat machine on this one. She says, Mega, it's time to show the Swifties just how powerful our movement is. So I don't know about that. I don't like that statement, but okay, we're going to carry on. What are the odds that Taylor Swift helped record this video for the Democrats in 2020? This one here, when Biden was running against Trump. This is a campaign ad. They likely had to pay to use her music and sue, and she obviously signed off on this, so Taylor Swift did. And then, as a final October push in 2020, Gavin Newsom posted it on his Twitter and thanked Taylor Swift. Now she's on a world tour. Taylor Swift is doing Democrat voter registration drives on Zuckerberg-owned Instagram by pushing her lies to her base of Zoomers and millennials. She's accused President Trump of being a white supremacist, has accused him of using the USPS to cheat in elections, and she is promoting Gavin Newsom's abortion and LGBTQ policies, which are the most radical in the nation. It's obvious why this alliance is formed. Gavin Newsom and Michelle Obama are running in 2024, and their plan is to use social media influencers to help them win. No wonder Joe Biden allocating a wing of the White House for TikTokers. No wonder why Joe Biden is allocating a wing of the House for TikTokers. I didn't know he was doing that. I'm out of the loop apparently on American politics. A wing of the White House is going to be dedicated to TikTokers? The West Wing? Probably. With the help of... Okay, I'll just leave it there. Laura Loomer goes a little bit... she's fine, but she goes a little bit far with the dramatic turns of phrase. I like to keep it a little bit less saucy, I suppose. When I was in Huntsville yesterday, I walked... Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.